B2 C1 English Story. A True Star. Stephanie had always been a little different to the other children. Rather than play and be loud and boisterous, she preferred to sit quietly and read or draw. She loved to play the piano and listen to music. Her mum and dad were both creatives. Her dad was a session musician, and her mum was an acclaimed writer. Stephanie was always encouraged by her parents to explore her creativity. She excelled at drawing portraits of people, and she could listen to a song a couple of times and play the basic melody on her keyboard. She also enjoyed singing, though she often did this in private, as she was quite shy. At school, the other children couldn't relate to her. While they were doing cartwheels and playing catch, she would sit on the school steps and read her fantasy novel about witches and goblins. One of the dinner ladies began to notice that Stephanie was continually excluded from games in the schoolyard. She decided to do something about it. She started to talk to Stephanie and asked her what she was reading and what she was doing. She expected Stephanie to be quite shy and retiring, but she was incredibly animated, witty, and fun. Over the course of a few weeks of chatting at lunchtime, they began to form a bond. The dinner lady, Janice, wanted to try and help Stephanie interact with the other children. Stephanie said she didn't care, but Janice could tell that sometimes she was upset by their lack of interest in her. Stephanie told Janice about her passion for music and singing. She confided in her that she was composing her own song and that her dad was going to sing the lyrics. She said that one day she hoped to be a singer-songwriter, and if it didn't work out, maybe she could become an artist. That night, Janice went home and spoke to her husband about Stephanie. She felt like she needed to do more, but at the same time, Stephanie appeared to be quite content. After mulling over Stephanie's situation for a while, she came to a conclusion. Janice decided that she would ask the head teacher if they could hold a dinner-time show at the school. She thought that it might encourage Stephanie to show her true colours and talents to her peers. The next day, Janice went to the head teacher's office and explained her idea. As it was the summer term, they could have the talent show on the school field. The children could sit on the grass and a small stage could be built. The school already had a basic sound system and some microphones, if needed. The head teacher considered Janice's idea. As they weren't having a summer show, due to the drama teacher being on maternity leave, this would be the perfect alternative. They started to make some plans, and they set a date. The children were set to work on making posters to advertise the show, and auditions were planned to take place in the school hall. Stephanie wasn't planning on auditioning. She had no intention of getting up on stage and performing for her so-called friends. She didn't want to humiliate herself. She took a poster home and told her parents about the show. They wanted Stephanie to perform. They knew how charismatic and talented she was, but they didn't want to pressure her into it. They told her their thoughts and left her to make her own decision. The next day, Stephanie took her song lyrics and a recording of her playing the piano to school. At lunch, she crept off to the school hall once most of the students had dispersed and sang her song to the audition panel. After she had finished singing, she looked up to see the shocked face of the head teacher. She noticed Janice wiping a tear away. She knew then that maybe she was better at performing than she originally thought, and after her teachers and Janice practically begged her, she agreed to perform at the end of the summer term show. In the weeks running up to the show, Stephanie practiced the song and reworked some of the lyrics and melodies. She had to attend a few rehearsals for the show at lunchtime, and she found that her confidence was beginning to grow. She started conversations more with her classmates and didn't feel so afraid of people. She started chatting to 2 people from her class who were going to perform a song together from a musical. She never realised that they loved music as much as her, and they started to bond over their favourite performers and bands. It felt nice for her to finally have someone to talk to who wasn't Janice or her mum and dad. As the day for the end of the summer show came around, Stephanie felt like she had butterflies in her belly. She had so much pent-up energy that she didn't know what to do with herself. In the morning, she was excused from classes so she could rehearse with the other performers, and, before she knew it, the audience were beginning to take their places on the school field. She almost hoped for rain, but knew it wouldn't happen, as the skies were cloudless and a beautiful shade of blue. Stephanie was performing last. She wished she could go on first, so she could get it over and done with. As she watched her classmates perform and saw how supportive the audience were, her nerves began to fade away. She remembered what her parents had told her. All you can do is your best. Before she knew it, her name was being announced and she was on stage. The introduction of her song began to play, and she started to sing her heart out. Her new friends stood at the side of the stage, smiling on in awe of her. She was a true star. As she sang the last word of her song, the audience erupted into cheers. She was outstanding. Stephanie was taken aback by the praise she received from everyone. She hoped that now they would see that she was more than the quiet girl who liked to draw and read in the corner. Now, let's go through some of the vocabulary from this story. Awe. Awe. Awe can be a noun or a verb. It's a feeling of great respect, sometimes mixed with fear or surprise. You can be in awe of someone. Charismatic. Charismatic. Charismatic is used to describe a person who has charisma. Erupted, or to erupt. This means to suddenly express your feelings in a noisy way. Volcanoes also erupt. Melody. Melody. A melody is a tune, often forming part of a larger piece of music or a song. Audition. Audition. An audition is a short performance in which you sing, dance or act so that someone can decide if you are good enough to perform in a particular show. Exclude. To exclude. To exclude is to keep out or omit something or someone. Peer. Peer. A peer is a person who is the same age or has the same social position or the same abilities as other people in a group. Alternative. Alternative. An alternative plan or method is one that you can use if you do not want to use another one. Bond. Bond. A bond is a close connection joining 2 or more people. Compose. To compose. To compose is to produce music, poetry, or formal writing. Creativity. Creativity. Creativity is the ability to create new ideas or things using your imagination. Interact. Interact. To interact is to communicate with or to react to something or someone. Praise. To praise. To praise is to express admiration or approval of the achievements or characteristics of a person or thing. Witty. To be witty. To be witty means that you can use your words in a clever and/or funny way.